Wrestling with Faith.
And welcome to another episode of Wrestling with Faith. We're here with my co-host Marcus Cornett, and we're going to talk a little bit about what's going on here in the end of May, moving into June period, and talk about what's going on in the world of professional wrestling. We'll talk a little bit about what's going on in the world of theology. There's definitely lots of interesting conversations to be had. But let's start with what has Marcus Cornett excited about professional wrestling right now. We were talking a little bit about it just prior to the recording, and I'd like to dig right back into it. Marcus, you've been watching a little bit of AEW lately, and a little disappointed with the WWE product, it sounds like.
Yeah. So just the story-wise, WWE just doesn't have a whole lot that's grabbing my attention. They're not doing much with, their mid-card titles and the women's titles. I mean, I'm always glad to see Rhea Ripley as a champion, and I think Liv Morgan's been killing it. But they get Sol Ruca on with the women's Intercontinental title. And I think that's good. I think it's good to give younger talent, up and coming talent, more exposure. Give them the belt and see if she can run with it. And she's obviously a very talented individual. But I'd like to see what she can do. But WWE wise, that's just kind of all that's really been grabbing me. We'll have to see how the next weeks play out into the next PLE or pay-per-view,
right?
What we're calling them now. I mean, what is the next pay-per-view? I haven't even looked.
Yeah, so I think that's part of the exhaustion of doing the constant PLEs, because beforehand you could name WrestleMania over in April, you could Survivor Series in November, SummerSlam generally in August, but all the other guys, as much as you want to pretend that they're not, a lot of them just feel like filler, and now you're mixing in the Saturday night main events, kind of scattering those in as well. And those are John Cena retired there, Goldberg retired there. I mean, it's just a lot to keep up with. So honestly, we were looking at expecting a guest tonight, so I didn't make a lot of notes in regards to the wrestling, but sometimes you get stood up on a first date. It happens. It's totally fine. But I couldn't tell you what the next PLE is off the top of my head. What I can tell you is that I actually personally enjoyed the Clash in Italy for the most part, but I do miss pay-per-views that had 8 or 10 matches on them, that felt like these really big extravaganza, and the 4 or 5 matches. I appreciate the room to breathe logic to it. But I don't know. I think it's a little bit of good, and I think it's a little bit of sour. You're not as excited about what's going on in WWE. I'm going to bring it back there, but I do want to talk a little bit about what has you excited with the AEW.
Just, the big name that I'm watching right now is Lio Rush. Never thought I'd say that. Never thought, from where he came from.
Yeah.
And then, he's obviously a talented guy, very talented, very athletic, can tell a good story in the ring. But then they made him, years ago, kind of the mouthpiece for Bobby Lashley. And just because he has kind of that an irritating voice.
Sure. But that is, with all due respect, that was the VKM era.
Right. Yeah.
That's who was booking it.
Yeah, we got to give him a little bit of leeway there, but I really like what he's doing right now, because it just feels like he's saying, I'm going to go do something weird and do something creative. And see if it sticks. And so far, I think it's working because he got onto Dynamite. He's been on like Collision and Ring of Honor, but I think him being on Dynamite is a bigger step for him.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that he's got a good shtick, let's call it a good
Yeah.
gimmick. Whether you want to call it a kind of a Gollum gremlin thing going on. I think the question is not so much that is he doing good character work, because he obviously is. You know, he's getting buzz, he's getting talk. The question is, do bookers know what to do with that?
Right.
Do the bookers that he's working with, you know, have the ability to long-term story that character, or is it going to be you know, like Fandango or Leo Kruger, Adam Rose, any number of like gimmicks that are really hot, and then you don't know what to do with it because it's
Right.
like beyond apparently your creative comprehension,
And
and it fizzles.
you left out a big name in that list with Bray Wyatt.
Yeah,
Because
well,
Bray Wyatt, again, incredibly talented in the ring and very creative with his character, with the things he wanted to do, and very passionate about that.
right.
But, you know, they didn't know how to book it. You know, when he was the Fiend, he was presented as unkillable. It's like, you know, you could probably beat him when he was doing the Mr. Rogers, the Yowie Wowie, like the smiley guy. But when he
Yeah,
put
yeah.
that mask
Bray
on him,
Wyatt could be defeated, but the Fiend was unkillable.
yeah, the Fiend was unkillable.
Yeah.
I loved that so much. And it's just such a tragedy that we lost him at such a young age. But
Yeah, no, but I think the difference there is that Bray Wyatt had staying power, right? Leo Kruger's gimmick in NXT was really hot, but then they turned him to Adam Rose because
right,
Vince didn't know what to do with Leo Kruger. And
yeah,
then he had Adam Rose, which got popular, but then he didn't really know what to do with him from that point, and so he
yeah,
just kind of fizzled out. Whereas Bray Wyatt, like, he had momentum, he had big championship belts, the merchandise. He had the big storylines, WrestleMania matches. But Vince, in my opinion, towards his latter years, just completely lost touch
yeah,
on how to book a lot of things.
yeah.
I just feel like a lot got lost in the McMahon shuffle as he moved from, you know, his 60s to the 70s, and just a lot of storylines. Like Hell in the Cell is I mean, do we need to say what it is, right? Like, it's Mankind got killed in that match, thrown through
Yeah.
the cage, thrown off the cage, whatnot, and we call it disqualification on
Right,
Seth
yeah.
Rollins. Like, it's a Hell in the Cell. What are you talking about, disqualification?
Yeah. I mean, and there's a track record there, you know, back to the Vince McMahon with the darker characters. You know, he had, of course, he created The Undertaker and Kane, two of the biggest names in the industry. And they had amazing stories. And, you know, you had Mankind, his early years was a much darker character. But you get on down the road and you've got Mordecai. Does anybody remember Mordecai?
Yeah.
Kevin Thorne.
I mean, I do, but I get
Yeah.
your point.
But Kevin Thorne, but he was like the reverse Undertaker. He was all light, whereas Undertaker was dark. That should have worked, but I think it maybe came down to the man playing the character. But then fast forward even more, and you've got Finn Balor with the Demon. Again, I have a soft spot in my heart for the darker characters for some reason. But I love the Demon. I love what he could do with that, the split personality, and bringing out a whole new look, entrance, and even a new move set when he put that paint on. But
I don't know if I agree with the moveset, but I get you on the rest.
right, I mean, his mannerisms in the ring.
Yeah, sure, fair enough.
How he moved, how he interacted with his opponent. I mean, and he just had more of an edge as the Demon. And we're seeing that come back now here and there. I think maybe they kind of ran it into the ground. But then again to Bray Wyatt and the Wyatt family, and even more recently the Wyatt Six. Big hype, big characters. When Bray came back a couple years ago with the White Rabbit teases, that was the biggest thing in professional wrestling at that time. Like, what's the White Rabbit? What's this going to be? Is it Bray? Is it not? And it got people talking. It got buzz around wrestling. And then when he's here, when he's there, when he's in the mix, you don't do anything with him, unfortunately, up to his tragic passing. And then fast forward with the Wyatt Six, you've got big hype, big teases, very reminiscent of the White Rabbit. And then their debut, killing everybody in the backstage area, killing Chad Gable. And then again, biggest thing in wrestling. That's all a lot of people want to talk about. And then they didn't do anything. Yeah, they had the tag team titles for a little bit, but a team like that doesn't need, in my opinion, a title. I don't think Bray really ever needed a title. It's why.
I think we could do a whole episode, or several, on the misses of booking previously.
Yeah.
But to get back to your point, which is Leo Rush, I think the question is, what are they going to do with him? Because if you think about, like, in any kind of like big Hollywood film, like, a lot of the big misses come in that you don't have a great finish, right?
Yeah.
A lot of great television shows, the same kind of thing. So you have to think about the end game and what is the end game for that character.
Right.
And my suggestion, just jumping in here to anybody who's on the independent circuit, who is a professional wrestler, and they're trying to craft something like that, not necessarily in the gremlin zone, but just something to get people talking, to create buzz, whatever. Like, there are a lot of great bookers out there, but there are a lot of bookers that don't know how to do a long-term storytelling with a character like that. And it might be up to you to kind of create those pitches and those suggestions and to kind of preserve that. Because from my experience in these, I guess 16 years in the business, 11 as a competitor, there's very much a shiny toy syndrome that you have in independent professional wrestling. And that is, you get a brand new shiny toy and you want to play for a while, and play with it for a while, and you put it in these different matches and kind of see if it catches on. But a lot of promoters, a lot of bookers, not all of them, are not that creative. They don't have experience in storytelling. They don't have a background in film or short stories or anything along those lines. And so they'll play with the toy for a little while, and then a new toy comes along. And if you want to stick around, you've got to kind of have your own vision, like Cody Rhodes had, like Matt Cardona had, like Drew McIntyre had, for what they thought their career should look like, to preserve their shiny toy so that they don't get put on the shelf, but they continue to get the push because the shiny toy has all these great storylines that comes with it. And it's, you don't want to shove that down a promoter's throat, but having it in your back pocket and being able to make those kind of suggestions can, in the long run, push a lot of careers in a trajectory they wouldn't otherwise have.
Right. And, I think with indie wrestling, and even the bigger stages, it's, can we put the belt on you? Does it make sense to put the belt on you? Because, you have more experience, obviously, in the indie scene than I do. But it's, your top guy, your biggest name, the whatever it is. With indie, it's put the belt on. And a lot of the less creatively minded indies that I've seen is put the belt on them and push him. But I mean, and there's nothing wrong with the belt. The belt is a great storytelling. You know, I don't want to give too much shine to Vince Russo, but it's a prop. It's a great
Don't
prop.
give any
It's
shine
storytelling.
on this show to Vince Russo
No.
ever. No, no Vince Russo.
No. But to his point, you know, about the belt being a prop, it's a MacGuffin. In storytelling, it's you look in books, it's the One Ring. It's the thing that they're going after. And you know, the chase is all for your bigger name. The chase for the title generally is more appealing and more eye-catching than after they already win, after they get it, after they finish the story, after they have the boyhood dream come true. Yes, there is great champions and great championships, but you know, with back to Leo Rush, I don't see him as a world champion. Maybe a TNT champion, maybe. But I think he has a spot. I think he's got a niche to where, okay, we want, you know, AEW's got all these great talents, all these amazing athletes that can tell a great story. What can Leo Rush do that's different? He's going to be Gollum. Cool. We haven't seen a Gollum since the Boogeyman.
I mean, I guess you could, in a way, you could kind of compare the two for sure, but I guess that really comes down to a matter of personal opinion, because like I could see Leo as the guy in AEW, depending on how he's presented, just as much as Darby Allin, because
right.
the thing is, we're not in weight divisions anymore, right? So it's who's moving the merchandise is really, at the end of the day, kind of what that MacGuffin is built for, right? It's who is the face of your company that's moving tickets, that's bringing people in because they want to see what that person's going to do next.
Because
and if that person is hot, then you utilize the championship as an opportunity to kind of put your stamp on, oh yeah, we see it too. You know, fans, we see this. Yeah. And so come buy the tickets and see how long he can hold on to it and what challenges put him through. But I think there's a lot of missed opportunities in the way those stories are used. But, you know, everybody's got an opinion. So now the next question comes in, like, you know, in AEW versus WWE, and things have changed climate wise, because it was very hot and contentious for a long time. And I'm not going to say the TKO is not as contentious now, but Tony Khan has just recently come out in an article claiming that his renewed faith in Jesus has kind of curbed the way that he deals with his competition and trying to be more respectful and less brazen aggressive. And so that's kind of been an interesting turn. Then you also have this thing where now you have like WWE's like pulling all sorts of fan videos, TKO copyrights off the YouTube and the internet and whatnot. You know, so there's a lot of copyright strikes going on, and so fans are starting to feel like less like they can comment on and less like they can contribute, show videos of TKO products because they're getting slapped down. So where are they going to go? The competition that doesn't slap their fists, slap them on the wrists. You know, so there's a lot of that going on. There's a lot of contention towards TKO for what some fans believe is ruining the product with too much meddling and storylines and with celebrities and whatnot. That's kind of always been the case with the WWE, in my opinion, but I can understand and respect the perspective. But like when you're talking about it right now, WWE versus AEW, do you see, you know, as a kind of a wrestling historian, a shift in that story where at one point, say maybe a year ago or 2 years ago, you would have said AEW is dying. AEW is not going to be a thing. They're going to get bought up just like WCW did, and they're going to have an invasion angle with Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks or something. But now, there seems to be more of a buildup. There's more of an appreciation. They're selling bigger arenas and they're getting a little bit more momentum. And I think part of that is because of offering a good product. I think another part of that is because of some huge mistakes on the grid on behalf of their competition.
Right.
What do you think?
So, yeah, I think prior to COVID, had the world not shut down and WWE and AEW lost some momentum because, crowds not there.
Yeah,
It's
the
weird.
world lost momentum for sure.
Yeah.
I used to be able to go to Walmart after like 12 o'clock at night.
Right?
Things have changed.
Yeah. But I could see a world where had that not happened and AEW kept on their initial, trajectory and initial momentum and initial hype, that we could have possibly seen a new Monday Night War. But now where they're at with their being more mature as a company, they're still very young as a company. But I think Tony Khan's kind of seeing, hey, let's kind of stick in our lane, because a lot of that in early AEW programming, there were a lot of shots fired at WWE.
Yeah, sure.
There were, you had infamous Cody with the sledgehammer to the throne. And, any number of MJF promos.
Yeah.
Like mentioning WWE and
Right.
Triple H and Vince. But I think now they're realizing that, they're going to be there. We're not going to, I don't think ever the goal was to kill WWE, but they had to make a name for themselves. They had to be that loud voice, be like, hey, we're over here. Like, don't go over there, come over here. But I think now that they've matured, that I feel like tension between the two companies and in the fan base is it's not dead, but it's kind of settled, that they're both realizing that these are separate products. We can somewhat peacefully coexist here. And, for a while there with AEW, they brought everybody over that WWE had let go. And that got buzz. That got buzz for a week or two when, Adam Cole or Bryan Danielson and whoever else came over and was on AEW. But, it still happens. It still happens. And it used to happen with TNA. Somebody get released and they go to TNA and, oh my gosh, he's here. Saw it several times.
Well, fans love a good jump, Oh
yeah. It gets people talking. It's fun. I've got this group of toys over here and this group of toys over here. What if I took this guy over here?
Yeah, for sure.
Hey, what kind of play can I have with that? And I get it. It's great. It's fun. And you can tell good stories. And a lot of those guys that jumped from WWE to AEW and vice versa, AEW to WWE, a lot of them found what fits for them. You mentioned Cody going back to WWE. He was a big star in AEW, arguably one of their biggest. But, he saw the opportunity. He felt like, hey, this is my time to go. And really, now that I've made a bigger name for myself, to go and have this huge career. Because, who would have ever thought that Stardust would be a 3-time WWE champion? And like your point about Leo Rush, there's, you got to let him cook. Gotta let them cook.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think Cody was taking Stardust in places that they could have actually thrown a strap on him, but they just kept putting him in a box and
Yeah.
smashing him.
Yeah,
You know,
I always
so
thought
you had
that.
to go
I always
ridiculous.
liked Stardust. I thought it was cool.
Yeah, so let me throw this at you, you know, and just let the internet fight with comments and whatever, and call me an idiot or whatever they want to do. But here's my pitch that I think would make AEW even more of a competition. Not saying that they should kill the WWE. That's not my point. My point is you always want to grow as a product. You always want to have more of the market for yourself. So I want your thoughts on this. AEW owns Ring of Honor,
Yeah.
right? So you've both products. One of them, in my opinion, should clean up. The other one should lean into the adult slash, sure, if you want to bring your kids to the bloodbath that we throw on AEW, that's your business boat, right? Because there's not as much right now. Like I can't comfortably put AEW Dynamite on with my 3.5-year-old and even my 11-year-old that can be a little sensitive sometimes to some of the bloody and adult oriented stuff that they throw on AEW.
Right.
If I turn on WWE, I'm more worried about the commercials than I
Yeah.
am about what they're going to see on that product that might be as inappropriate for them. Same thing, kind of like with NXT. There are moments, but they're more rare. If AEW could clean one of their products up for family friendly WCW, not kiddie wrestling, right? You can still have great wrestling the adults would enjoy. You just stay away from the subjects that make parents uncomfortable bringing their kid to the show, like really bloody death matches and stuff like that. Doesn't mean the whole product should, but one or the other should be death matches. The other should be everybody can watch. It's fine. It's lots of action, but we hold the language down and we just focus on in-ring competition and storylines.
Right.
Your thoughts?
I like that idea because back in the '90s, we did have that place to go. It was called ECW.
Right. We don't have that anymore.
No. And
You have
if
CZW for you
we got
indie fans.
CCW and GCW and all the death match
shenanigans. We're just gonna call it shenanigans.
Yeah, I don't like calling deathmatch what they call deathmatch wrestling now. I don't like calling it wrestling. I'm picky about that. But anyway, to your point. Yeah, I mean AEW's always been more adult oriented.
They lean into that for sure.
That grew up watching wrestling and like, hey, we remember, there being blood, there being, some more mature themes, some swearing. There's a huge part of the audience that wants that wants the, that. So I see your point to, have a spot for that, have a place where, MJF can rip an uncensored promo to where, Darby and Hangman and Swerve can go out there and bleed their guts out.
Yeah, I mean, if that's the kind of wrestling that people want to see, and you want to do deathmatch wrestling, and in my opinion, I think AEW should just fall in line with exactly what they have been and clean up Ring of Honor. If I was to pick or book it, I'd clean it because it's in the name, right? Honor, Ring of Honor. I know that they have had bloodbaths and dog collar matches and whatnot in their history, but going forward, having a place that was like, this is honor, this is respect, this is wrestling, and you can still have your heel stuff, but going to that show that you're not going to have the sexual innuendo, you're not going to have the severe language, you're not going to have the bloodbath, because like somebody might bleed in wrestling, but they're not going to try to do it. You're not going to try to shock you, right? Because that's a safe product. And then to the same argument, I'd say that WWE could do the same if they had the guts to do it, we'll say guts, but I don't think TKO would give them permission to bring back ECW. But I feel like WWE is all the same. NXT is the same. AAA is becoming the same. It's all the same handprint product. And there's so much room for variety in wrestling. And they have like all the talent and the resources, and they're just going to give you vanilla ice cream. I don't care if you like chocolate or strawberry or sherbet or whatever you want. It's there you go.
Yeah. And you look at who is running creative with WWE between main roster, NXT, and AAA. Triple H, HBK, and Undertaker. I mean, they're all three like that. They're tight. You do have to contend with Big Brother TKO.
Yeah, and I think they give out some good products. I'm not saying that.
Oh yeah,
Undertaker's not booking a good show. He's booking a WWE version of AAA, and that's what I'm saying.
Right.
He books a good show. Sean books a good show, but it all has the same WWE feel. If you put Paul Heyman at the helm of an ECW, it'd be a whole different kind of ice cream. You know what I'm saying?
Right. And, we kind of saw that with the initial One Night Stand pay-per-views.
Yeah, the pay-per-views. Once it became a sci-fi show, Vince McMahon just ground all the ECW out of it.
ECW had so much potential for being different. It wasn't going to be SmackDown and Raw. It was hyped to be ECW, not WWECW. Heyman was there, but he was hogtied. He was severely handicapped.
Yeah, no, I would have used an even more violent word than hogtied. So good on you.
Yeah.
Yes.
It was ECW just because of the three letters, and you had Sandman and Sabu and some of the originals that could still work, but it didn't have the spirit of ECW. But to Ring of Honor, if they wanted to make Ring of Honor something, set it apart from AEW, make it different. You don't see, they don't push Ring of Honor. Like I believe, and a lot of other people I think would believe it deserves. Ring of Honor has a rich history. Our major stars right now came from Ring of Honor.
Yeah, if you gave Ring of Honor a real good push and a real good creative mind, that Paul Heyman-esque mind or something, I agree with. I think Ring of Honor could be a rival to AEW. Even though you own it, you want to kind of create your own kind of competition.
Right. It's like when we had the brand split in the early 2000s. WCW is gone. What are we going to do to drive competition and all this? We're going to split Raw and SmackDown.
Yeah, you close your eyes not close your eyes. That's probably not the thing, but right, you put your war with WWE on the background because WWE is going to do what they do. You keep an eye on the talent, you keep an eye on the product, but you focus on how can I make Ring of Honor this feel so different, more like a sport, less like sports entertainment, and a family friendlier environment where you kind of clean up the language and any kind of adult sexual kind of innuendos and ultra violence out of it and keep it more like a kind of New Japan, AAA, WCW all comes together. It's worldwide, best of the best, hard-hitting action. It feels different in AEW, which would be good. And then AEW can lean all the way into whatever shock factor they want to do, whatever kind of adult kind of, and you have both. I think what hurts me is that WWE, TKO specifically, have all the talent in the world. There's no real reason, in my opinion, with all that talent that you sit and you let get wasted. And with all the clamor of all the different streaming services that want to have professional wrestling on there, that you
Yep.
don't have a WCW that feels different than your
Yep.
ECW, that feels different than your NXT. And then your Raw and SmackDown can feel the same, and then your AAA. But you
Yep.
can have those different products all over the place. But instead, we're getting what feels very much like the same on both fronts.
Yeah.
And the last bit of my rant, I'm going to let you go on, is that I should not pay for Netflix or HBO Max and have to sit through commercials.
Amen, brother.
Why is pro wrestling
Amen, brother.
the only thing that we're doing on the streams that I know of? I don't watch the other sports because I'm a wrestling guy. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
but I don't watch movies or TV shows and get hit with that nonsense. I can
Right.
watch The Office all day long on NBC, or go watch all, whatever freaking action movie I want on HBO Max, Disney, whatever, and not get hit with commercial. But the moment I put on Raw, sit
Yeah.
down, because like 70% of the show wants your money. And
Yeah.
then you have like the other 20% is talking, and then you get 10% of a match.
Right.
That's what it feels like to me. And I know I'm overselling it a little bit, but that's the end of my rant. Tag,
But
you go on.
hot tag.
Hot tag.
You
Mad.
know, I agree, and I think a lot of our viewers would agree that WrestleMania was hard to watch at times because it was 5 minutes of commercials
man.
between matches. And again, to what you said, I'm paying for this.
It used to be that the PLEs, you don't have the commercials, but now you have more commercials because of the PLE.
Right. Like, I'm paying for this. I'm already paying the service. I just canceled my ESPN just because I had it wrapped up with Disney and Hulu. It was like $50 a month for all that.
Yeah.
And I'm still getting ads.
Yeah. On the one thing you don't want ads for.
I pay for YouTube Premium because I don't want to watch 3 sections of ads per 10-minute video.
Yeah. Pay for ad free, and then you do. And guess what? The wrestling still has ads.
Right. And I get they have sponsors. I get they have to make people happy, but we're getting ads on the ring. We're getting ads on the banner. We're getting ads, this, and that's been how it's been. This match brought to you by Snickers. Or
Yeah. No, and that's enough, right? Because like if you say that Roman Reigns is going to face Braun Breaker for the World Championship, this match brought to you by Snickers, I'm already interested in buying a Snickers. I don't need to watch your garbage commercial to convince me, because now I don't want the Snickers, because now it tastes like awful commercial. If you could just, this match is brought to you by, my life would be so much better.
And this is more funny to me than anything, but the WWE
makes me mad.
The WWE produced commercials, like they have Snickers commercials or the Cricket Mobile or whatever. They're so bad. They're bad.
Awful.
And just, we know these are wrestlers. They're not actors. Yes, we have crossover sometimes. Don't make Charlotte Flair do an ad with a CGI, whatever those things are on Cricket.
Yeah, no, and I get it, and they got to do what they got to do to pay the bills. But hey, if you're going to pay the bills that way, why don't you keep the talent people wants to see, instead of cutting everybody?
Yep.
And asking them to pay cuts or take pay cuts because
50%.
You're not making enough off of these garbage commercials.
Yeah. And it's not like TKO's hurting for money.
Yeah.
They're never going to be hurting for money.
Yeah,
why ask your talent to take a pay cut when they're already, a lot of them are underpaid anyway, don't have insurance, still having to book their own travel, still having to have their own gear made? Why ask them to take a pay cut?
Yeah. Well, On a theological point, the love of money, the root of all evil.
Amen.
Not money itself, but the love
Yes,
of money.
the love of money, the wanting to have it, the wanting the things that I can get with that money. That's what drives us to sin.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, so here's your detour. John Cena Classic. What are your thoughts on John Cena's Classic? The brand new PLE on top of all the PLEs
Right.
that we get commercials for.
You know, we had a time when we had the Dusty Rhodes Classic.
Mm-hmm.
That I believe it was a tag team tournament, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And that put
On
you know,
NXT.
yeah, on NXT. It put FTR or the Revival on the map.
Mm-hmm.
Really showcased them. Undisputed Era, American Alpha, all those guys.
Yeah.
Got a big push because of that tournament. A tournament is good. A tournament is always fun. King of the Ring used to be one of the most prestigious titles you could have that wasn't a belt. And it used to mean something. I think I give John Cena his flowers. I think he's the Hogan, if not bigger, than of our era. Because of what he stood for, the eyes that he brought to the product, all the good things you can say about Cena. But
well, and I think if you compare like length of career alone, puts Cena above Hogan in regards to a lot of that. And go on.
Hogan got us to the dance. Cena made us actually want to be there, want to stay there. Cena and I remember my first ever pay-per-view that my parents bought me when I was a kid was WrestleMania 21. It was the year Cena won the title for the first time from JBL. And I was like, all right, Cena's my guy. I'm not going to boo him ever. I mean, you grow up and things happen. But anyway, I think with Cena having just retired so recent, I think it's too early for something called the John Cena Classic. I love what they're doing. I love the concept. I love that your performance, not the wins, not your win-loss ratio, but your performance in your matches is going to determine who wins. Because somebody could get knocked out of the tournament in the first round and still end up winning.
Yeah, I wonder how that's going to work, fan voting and all that. And that, is a big part of why I want to ask you about that. Because, like, I could get, part of what you're saying about it maybe being too early for John. I don't personally feel that. I'm sure that some people agree with you. Some people don't. I'm not really going to harp on that a whole lot. I used to hate John Cena. You and I would not have gotten along during the John Cena era. I was the John Cena sucks guy.
Yeah.
For sure. I thought he was burying all sorts of talent I thought was better than him, but he has earned my respect over the years.
Yeah.
I
think a lot of people would agree with you.
Yeah, I'm not going to bury him now. And I appreciate, what he's contributed to the business. So I think it's fine for him to have the Classic. It's a good way to keep him around and kind of have him put his polish on the new generation without him having to bust his tail and break himself.
Yeah.
But fan voting, I am very fascinated to see how they're going to do it. I'm really interested because I've heard so many complaints about it, even though it really comes to a surprise to me because so many wrestling fans are like, the way they booked WrestleMania was awful. They should have had this guy on. The way they booked Raw is awful. This guy should have won. Well, now's your chance to correct it, and you don't want it. You don't want the power.
Yeah, they want. So many people want to play armchair booker. Man, if it was my show, I'd do it this, and this. cool. Go buy a ring. Go rent out somewhere. Run.
Oh yeah, get a WWE 2K26. Start yourself a YouTube channel. Right,
Yeah,
absolutely.
go play
And now they
Universe.
get the chance to vote.
Exactly. So a reservation I could see with that is if it turned into, what Taboo Tuesday and Cyber Sunday were, where you had fan input on what the match is or the stipulation or the special guest referee. But a lot of them were rigged. And that's been proven.
It's always rigged.
It's a work, brother. So
It's a work.
So I just wonder if it's truly gonna be only up to the fans, or if there is gonna be a little work in there so they can book a storyline. Because one of the last major things I recall of leaving things up to chance and letting it play out as it would was the Brawl for All.
Yeah.
And we don't want to talk about the Brawl for All because it wasn't a work. It was a shoot, brother. And it didn't work out real good. Poor Bart Gunn.
Yeah. Well, it would have been one thing for them to be like, all right, so we're going to have you knock each other out. And then at the end, we're going to take two of the best of you and have you knock each other out. But they didn't do that. They said, all right, you're going to beat the crap out of each other. And the winner goes up against Butterbean. Like,
the whole thing was supposed to be a push for Steve Williams, for Dr.
Yeah.
Gunn.
No, it was just.
And he gets knocked out by Bart Gunn and gets hurt.
Because I think it feels a lot like impulsive, like, this sounds like a good idea. And then you don't think it all the way through, right? And that's so many good ideas, so many good stories, so many good feuds, all end up bombing because you don't think it to the end.
Right. And something Paul Heyman said at one point is they booked next year's WrestleMania before this year's WrestleMania. You have to start booking out that quick or that far out because you don't know what's going to happen. Somebody's going to get hurt. Somebody's going to quit. Life happens to these guys and girls. But if you don't go into your biggest shows with a plan, what are you doing? You can't book by the seat of your pants.
Don't tell that to VKM because he walked into so many Raws and went, scrap it all.
Yeah, just rip it up. We're done.
Never mind. We're doing this.
Yeah. But to the, I like that head shake. It's great. But I feel like for the John Cena Classic to work, it has to be true fan opinion. But do they vote, I want this guy to win and just hit one button? Or could you have a criteria? Like best performance, best finisher, best entrance, and that have a point system. Say, you get 5 points for winning your match. Okay, that's going to bump you up. But your fan votes are really going to determine it. Okay, I just figured it out. It's Dancing with the Stars. It's wrestling, Dancing with the Stars. Because if you ever watch Dancing with the Stars, I don't, but I watched it when Stacey.
Are you sure you don't?
I watched it when Stacy Keibler was on there for reasons. Reasons.
Watched it with my wife.
But in that show, you have a point system. You get points based off what the judges say, and then also your fan vote really matters. So I wonder if that's going to be a thing. They haven't released any further information on it, so we're just speculating wildly at this point. Any discussion about something that isn't happening or we don't have information on is wild speculation.
Yeah.
So we're fantasy booking it, basically. But
yeah, well, I think one day you and I are going to do fantasy booking show anyways.
yeah,
I think we'll end up doing that.
Absolutely.
But I hope
Saudi
WWE
Arabia
goes through with it. I hope they do.
Yeah. And I hope somebody that really is deserving of it will win.
Yes.
And that's somebody like Gunther that's already getting pushes and already, up there. If it's legit, cool. If it's Braun Breaker, cool. But if it's like somebody like Tozawa or Otis or a lower card guy that can get a bit of a shine from this, that can get a push.
Right. Hoping to give somebody a break.
The big determining factor of this, if it's going to work, is what do they do with it after? Say, okay, let's book it. Say Obafemi wins. Cool. He won it. They said there's going to be a new title. When do you defend that title? Do you defend it on just a normal match? Like, oh, I'm the new John Cena Classic Champion. Or
I don't think they're going to do that. I think it's going to be the crown jewel thing. I think you get that title and you get the picture with it and you get the momentum of it. And then they, push you into a feud for the IC title or the world title, depending on how confident they are in the guy that you as the fans picked.
Yeah. So like the crown jewel thing, cool. We had all this fanfare. We have these big, huge belts. And then it doesn't matter. You put a crown jewel championship on Cody and Liv Morgan. They're already champions. They may not have been champions at the time, but do they need it? Does it matter in the long run of the booking of the story? Like, make me care about that belt.
Yeah.
If there's going to be a MacGuffin, I want to care about why I'm pursuing it.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to do that. I think it's like the King of the Ring, right? It pushes you to that next level, but no, you're not defending it. But here's the thing, Marcus, everything when it comes to media is changing. All of it, right?
Yep.
Netflix is reporting, or not Netflix reporting. I think Matt Damon did in an article that he was, the movie he just recently did with Ben Affleck, because that tag team reunited after 20 years.
And you love to see it.
And you love to see it. But he was saying that Netflix is making their writers repeat the plot 3 or 4 times in the movie deliberately, because they know that the attention span of this generation is on their phone while the movie's playing.
They're on TikTok.
Yeah, absolutely. Your TikTok generation, YouTube, and they're doing bigger numbers than a lot of the old traditional movies go. And now for the first time, you have like these YouTube channels showing up with like AI doing their own independent sci-fi and fantasy epic films without having to go through any kind of a gatekeeper for a fraction of the cost, putting out these high risk ideas, and they're doing big numbers. Like, everything's changing. So I think that maybe, and I could be wrong, and beat me up in the comments if you want to, because I've taken the bumps. I can handle it. I think that Vincent Kennedy McMahon would not allow fans to have that kind of power. I think that he would make the whole thing work just like he did, like you were saying with the other thing. But I think that Triple H is mindful enough to go, let's just see where it goes. Yeah. Let's just see how they respond, because there may come a day where we're experimenting with armchair wrestling bookers, want the power. Let's experiment with giving ways for fans to be more invested in the product, not just as consumers, but as contributors. Right. And yeah, we're still going to hold the power, right? We still have our secret meetings and decide, how things are going to go, but maybe we're going to give a fraction of that power to the people, and see how it goes, because we need to stay relevant and we need to evolve. and in this digital era where, gosh, all the secrets have been revealed, what are you going to do but like maybe get some fan input as part of the show?
Yeah. I mean, wrestling is, kayfabe is dead and buried at this point. So we know what
And
it
we
is.
bring it out of the grave to slap it around,
Yeah,
then
be
we
like,
throw it back into the grave. We didn't just kill it. We like drag it around for a while.
I think for wrestling to stay relevant, it has to listen to the community. It has to listen to its fans. I think Triple H does a much better job than Vince did about actually listening, because
Not perfect, but
it's
better.
not perfect, and I don't
Much
think
better. Yeah, no, I agree with you.
Ever be perfect.
I
But
quit WWE under Vince's last regime when there was that little period where like he gave up the power and then he took it right back.
Yep.
I went to AEW because I couldn't tolerate the crap he put on TV.
And his whole thing, he was always trying to chase that dragon of the Attitude Era. The Attitude Era's gone, brother. Is because you had legit competition and you had guys willing to go to war and put out good stories. I mean, on Raw, you didn't really have that much of like 5-star classics or anything, but they shined on pay-per-view.
Yeah, no, yeah, but, for
sure. This
Triple H era, I'm much happier with it.
I'm for it. I think Triple H is definitely more attuned with what wrestling fans want to see.
Because he studied the game.
He studied the game.
That's right.
But it came to it. We all know that this is just as real as Breaking Bad. Well, it's more real than Breaking Bad. But the storylines.
You're going places, brother.
Yeah. But you see what I'm saying? Like
I do.
It's a work. We've been knowing. So let's finally admit it. After, the secret's been out and known for decades.
Yeah, well, I don't know how much more you can admit that than Unreal, which I, by the way, enjoy as much, sometimes more than Raw. Just throwing that out there.
I haven't had an opportunity to watch Unreal yet. I haven't watched a single second of it. Not that I don't want to, because I'm all about, seeing how the sausage is made with wrestling. That's why I got in the ring with you.
That was like one time though, right?
It was a few times. We had a few
times. I totold you have a better memory than me.
Yeah.
When it comes to like.
Yeah, you didn't make me quit day one.
I wasn't trying to make you quit. I just, I wanted to make you realize what you stepped into. That's all.
Right. Yeah. You're like, hey, this is tough, brother.
Yeah. Well, it's like if I got to work with you, I want to know you're not going to drop me on my damn head, because I've been dropped on my head.
Yeah.
I hate that. I hate it.
It's not fun. Not fun for anybody. But
absolutely.
Yeah, like I said, though, for wrestling to continue and to grow, it needs to listen to its audience. And that's an AEW thing, that's a WWE thing, AAA, Japan. Everybody needs to actually listen to what the fans are saying, because I can sit there and feed my daughter broccoli all day long because I know it's good. I know it's good for her. But at the end of the day, she ain't gonna eat it if she don't want to eat it. And you get a very vocal wrestling fan base on the internet saying, "Hey, we don't like the broccoli we've been served. We want pizza. We want." You saw that with the Yes movement around WrestleMania 30,
and CM Punk. Yeah,
with
before
Punk.
that.
Yeah, with Punk. With a lot of folks, you get a groundswell of a lot of support. Heck, Matt Cardona as Zack Ryder, but with his YouTube channel, it got to a point where WWE couldn't ignore it anymore.
Yep, that's it.
So
hopefully he'll win one of these days.
Yeah, bring him back. Woo, woo, woo. Okay, he's going to be a jobber, like he was the first time.
Yeah. And I just, again, just one more time, like if you just expand your product a little bit, you could use these guys a little bit more efficiently. I'm just saying, like,
give them room to breathe
out there. Like, I could see Matt Cardona as the new WCW champion.
Oh yeah,
I'm okay with that.
Yeah, big time.
Yeah,
give him the Nitro belt. Bring back the internet title.
Yes, there you go. That's what we'll end the show on. Is hashtag bring back the internet title for Zack Ryder, and then let the fans vote on who his opponent is going to be. Each and every week.
A full fan booked show.
There you go. We just fixed WWE and AEW in 1 hour.
Wrestling, like if that doesn't earn us a like and a subscribe and a comment and the hype, whatever the hype button is, I don't know what will. We fixed wrestling. So
that's
guys,
right.
Please like and subscribe and help us grow this channel.
That absolutely. And speaking of, just to throw it out, in the next few weeks, we're going to bring in Dash Morgan again, and we're going to give them an exclusive highlight for Free Flow Wrestling, because he's a young man of the current generation who is trying to listen to the people and develop a new wrestling product catered specifically to that. And it's a very interesting endeavor that we're going to give some extra attention to, and we're also going to have Hope Ministries Wrestling here in the near future as well, getting a little bit back into theology, because we do both, right? We'll bounce back and forth between the wrestling and the theology. We will cover them both, sometimes separately and then sometimes together. But hey, Marcus, thanks for coming in and help me fix wrestling tonight. I appreciate it, brother.
Bill, it's always a pleasure, and we'll see you again next week. All right.
All right. Like, share, subscribe, do all the things. Support the people.
Hit all the buttons.